Hello and welcome to episode 40 of Smooth Traffic. We've done as many episodes as years that Ben's been on this earth now.
It's 41, isn't it? Isn't it 41?
No, it's episode 40.
I don't think so. I thought last episode was 40.
No, it was 39, John.
I think we called it 40 in the publishing.
No, we didn't. You're a pleb.
And Ben's back!
Hey, hello.
Boo!
So this episode we're going to hear all about Ben being in New Zealand.
And what a shame it is his plane didn't go down.
We're also going to have another trip to my dictionary corner.
And his helicopter.
Johnny's going to tell us all about the Volkswagen Up GTI.
And his speedboat didn't roll over.
Because Ben's back, we're also going to let him talk about electric cars for a bit.
Hooray.
And there'll be some other general tat.
A lot of tat.
King, do you want to know some stuff about New Zealand?
I'd love to know some stuff about New Zealand, John. Have you been?
No.
Oh.
Have you been?
No.
No. Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I know about New Zealand.
Okay.
It's an island country, apparently, in the southwest Pacific Ocean. And it's got two main land masses, upwards New Zealand and southwards New Zealand. And it has also around 6 billion smaller islands around it.
6 billion?
Yeah.
I like the way you're reading this from Wikipedia, and you've missed out words like geographically because you couldn't quite say.
I was hoping he was going to give the Maori names of the North and South Islands, to be honest.
I really wanted to not say Pacific, because I find that really hard to say.
I was expecting you to say specific. So.
Specific Ocean.
Oh, there's a special place in hell for people who say specific and Pacific.
As Ben messes it up straight away.
Exactly.
Can't make my mouth make the right shape. Pacific. It's really hard. Anyway, Ben's been to New Zealand. We haven't.
I have. Yeah.
Well, Ben was escorted to New Zealand, obviously as a trophy husband, and escorted back.
As a war criminal.
Yeah, as a war criminal as well, no doubt. And he also visited the former British Republic of Kong Hong as well.
I did.
Right, that's great. Let's move on to the next segment then.
Thanks for coming back, Ben.
I'll tell you what.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty good.
I love how he's undersold this completely. Yeah.
How British is that?
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
One thing you would love out there is the roads, because their tarmac is perfect. There's lots of windy roads, incredible scenery, and not many people on the roads. So driving is just fun.
That sounds great. I love it when there's not many people around.
Yeah. Even with a crap hire car, you still had quite a bit of fun driving around. So yeah, it's an amazing place. You'd love to take a decent car out there and have some fun.
Caterham road trip, King?
Hey, it probably won't rain as bad, so...
Actually, it rains a lot in New Zealand, so... Yeah.
So why does it rain a lot in New Zealand anyway? Because it's basically Australia, isn't it?
No, not really.
No.
It is, isn't it?
Do we have to go back to the water cycle, John, from last
No,
time?
because in my book here it says, and by my book I mean Wikipedia, it says, New Zealand is situated some 15 kilometres east of Australia. So, you know, it's basically Australia, isn't it?
15 kilometres. 15,000. 1,500 even. Now you're struggling to read.
See, nobody really knows how far it is from Australia.
It's a
Let's just
mystery.
say it is Australia. Australia's hot, but New Zealand isn't, I guess, or is it just sweaty?
No, it's very similar to the UK climate, really, I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's just South Britain.
Yeah, kind of.
Yes. I think the best bit about being in New Zealand is the confusion from you every time I sent you a message.
I had no idea what was going on.
You couldn't understand the fact that it was summer.
Yeah, and plus, are you just waking up, or are you just going to sleep, or both? Or
Quite,
like,
usually
what
the
even,
opposite of what you were doing. Yeah.
like, how long is a day? Like, I don't understand any of that stuff. It just didn't seem to make sense. None of it made sense.
Best bit was when very nearly caught you with the Game of Thrones "Summer is Coming." For a moment, I had you, didn't I?
I don't know. I can't even remember that.
I do.
Probably. You probably did have me if I can't remember it. Probably wiped it from my brain. Ben, did you know that because of New Zealand's remoteness, it was one of the last lands to be settled by the humans?
I did not.
Did
There
you
you
know,
go.
John,
Are you sure?
that the first European to sight New Zealand was a Dutchman?
Oh yes, I did. Didn't
What
this
was
come
his
up in
name?
in the Netherlands quiz?
Australia came up in the Netherlands quiz, didn't it? But New Zealand was the same.
Ah, Abel Tasman.
Yeah.
What's his name? Cook? James Cook?
No, Ben. He's not Dutch. Jesus. How did he win that quiz?
How did you lose it, King? That's probably the real question.
So, Ben, what's your definition of a crap hire car then?
Well, I drove 2 cars out there.
You mean Emma drove 2 cars?
No, thank you very much. First one we had was a Toyota Corolla hybrid, which probably wouldn't be badged as a Corolla over here, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's an Auris over here.
Auris, yeah.
I think so. So as you do when you turn up to the hire car place, they tell you to have a look for dents. They said, but it's a new car, so don't worry too much. But I gave it a thorough looking over until I realised it literally had done 8 kilometres. So it still had like the factory shrink wrap on it. But we put about 1,500 kilometres on it, so we gave it a good run. Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think that's the first time I've driven a hybrid. It was actually quite nice. It wasn't too bad. To start with, I was a bit unsure, but over the sort of week, I found it was fairly decent. I think you get a fairly decent bit of economy out of it. I didn't sort of work it out. We didn't put a huge amount of, probably only spent about 40 or 50 quid on fuel, I think, in the whole time we were there, so couldn't have been much. But yeah, I think it was a fairly smooth, accelerated fairly smoothly. Steering was fine. Got a little bit light in the steering, I thought. And when there was a fair bit of standing water, it did sort of, you didn't quite feel like you were fully in control. But I thought it was alright for a crappy little Toyota. Brakes are a bit dodgy though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you so I don't know if your car does the same. So with the Golf, when you're doing higher speeds and things like that, it sometimes sharpens up the brakes, so it makes them a bit more responsive.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Well, I think it's fine as long as it's consistent. So I know what the Golf's going to do when I'm driving that, but the Corolla just seemed to randomly decide that it's going to sharpen the brakes. Sometimes when you're doing 30, sometimes when you're doing like 50 or 60 or something. So it was irritatingly inconsistent. So that wound me up a bit. But most of the car was fine. It was quite nice. The interior was quite nice. I had a touchscreen radio though, which was dreadful because they always are, and it wasn't very sensitive. So I was not a fan of that. Actually, the windscreen wipers I had a problem with. They didn't reset themselves. If you turn the engine off and they're halfway through a wipe, it just stopped halfway up the windscreen. I thought that was something that had stopped being a thing like 20 years ago, but apparently not.
Not in my car either.
Do yours stop as well halfway up?
Yeah, it would though, wouldn't it?
That's just crap. Also, the indicators were on the wrong side. That wound me up.
Is that because it's left-hand drive?
No, they drive on the same side of the road as us.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. I didn't know if it was a Toyota thing. I was going to ask you guys. Yeah, the indicators were on the wrong side, so I kept wiping the windows for the first day.
But the Mazdas were wrong as well, aren't they, John?
Yeah, they're
the Unos. So
I'm trying to think. Are they on?
Okay.
Are they on the?
Yeah, they're on the
right-hand side.
Yeah,
So it's a Japanese car thing, then, is it?
Could be.
Okay. So, but that pissed me off. But that's only just because I wasn't used to it, so that's not really a big issue. But also, their auto wipers on it were crap. So they sort of did a fairly normal. So they were automatic, and they did like a fairly normal speed when it started raining heavily. But they never went up to like a decent speed, like high speed. So you have to do that yourself. What's the point of automatic wipers that are only going to do half a job? It seems ridiculous. Either do it or don't. And it's the same with the lights. The lights turned on when it was like really dark, but it didn't turn on sort of dusky or poor conditions. It just thinks that just makes you lazy.
Bad calibration. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
hey, King, did you hear that? Did you hear that, King?
Big word.
I got that right.
I did it.
Right,
I'm really proud of you, John.
Calibration.
All right, don't say it too many times.
Oh, and something you would like, Kingy.
Burgers.
No, there was an animation on the dash that showed when the battery was charging and when it was powered from the engine, battery, or both.
Cool.
And I know how you like little animations from driving the e-Golf, so you would have enjoyed that.
I think you'll find it was the Nissan Leaf.
Was it? No.
The e-Golf didn't give me any nice animations.
Did it not?
No, it just did golfy things, didn't it?
What, be incredibly boring and lacking in character, but somehow amazing and everyone loves it?
That one, yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually didn't completely hate the Corolla, having it for a week. So it had a few faults, but actually it was fine as a hire car. But when we were on the South Island, we were given another car, and that was a Toyota Yaris, and I believe that was a 1.3 GX.
Oof.
Again, fairly new. It's only done about 5,000 kilometres, but it was the worst car I've ever driven or been in or anything. It was just shocking.
Sick burn, Toyota! Sick burn!
What are you going to do, Toyota? Ben's driven literally 6 cars in his lifetime.
Literally. And I've passengered in twice that many. It's just bad. It was just... I literally have nothing positive to say about it. It was uncomfortable. It was rattly. The engine was appalling. Like, you put your foot down and it'd just make a load of noise and wouldn't go anywhere. And it would randomly... You'd be going on a straight road and it would just drop a couple of gears and make a noise but not change the speed. And then... I think it was only a 4-speed or something daft. It was just slow and loud, and trying to go up hills was just horrific. It was just awful. The gearbox was really jumpy as well. It just lurches forward when you're trying to go slow speeds. It just didn't seem to... It just had no finesse about it at all.
Does sound pretty bad. Was there anything about it you actually liked?
No, nothing. Even like things like the seat fabric was just cheap. You know, it felt like you were sitting on a really flimsy bit of material. And, yeah, it didn't have like an armrest. The amount of times I went to lean on the centre armrest and almost fell over.
Did you think about crashing it on purpose just to, you know...
Well, funnily enough, when we took the car, the man said, well, you've got your excess covered, so he said you can check for dents, but it don't really matter because you won't have to pay an excess if you crash it. And I thought, do you know what? I'm tempted to bung it in the lake.
Do the world a favour.
But it's so beautiful there we were in Queenstown. You know, you wouldn't want to ruin any of the landscape by leaving a Yaris in it. So
yeah,
it was just... Also, do you know what really pissed me off? So the indicators were on the wrong side, but it didn't even have that little, like... You know, most indicators, you can just give them a flick and it, like, flicks 3 times.
Yeah.
Didn't even have that. So you couldn't even do your... Just click off a roundabout sort of thing.
Even my Mito does that.
Oh, exactly. It's just... I have nothing positive to say about a Yaris. I'm sure there must be a decent Yaris on the market, but that was just... Everything about it was bad.
Sometimes I press the indicator in my Abarth and nothing happens. Also, it's got its first problem, and that is the switch for the rear wiper has gone really, really stiff for some reason. No idea why. It's just real hardship to put the rear wiper on.
I think that's its
Bizarre.
second problem, John.
What was the first problem?
The driver.
What a burn! What a sick burn, boys!
Well, you know, Ben's burning Toyota, so I wanted to join in somehow.
Oh, I'm going to have to think of a way to bring this back
I'm
full
not
circle.
completely betting Toyota because the Corolla was nice, or fine, but the Yaris was dreadful.
I wonder if the GX is like a special sort of hire car.
Another
trim or
top-level compliment from Ben. It was nice. Well, fine.
I always think it's a fairly good show if you don't really come away having a strong opinion either way.
Yeah, I suppose.
I tried to think of something positive about the Yaris, and I came away with the dash is quite uncluttered. That's because it literally had nothing at all going for it. It barely had a radio. It was so bad.
I'm just going to search New Zealand Toyota. It was a GX, did you say, Ben?
I think so, yeah.
A Yaris GX. I think GX is like the most basic trim in New Zealand by the looks of it.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, was it automatic petrol, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Toyota says that the GX sets the bar high in looks, performance, safety and features.
Okay. What does it consider a feature? Like seatbelts?
Doors.
Well,
It has 4 of them.
One of the features is its spacious interior.
Well, it didn't have anything in it, so that's good, I suppose. Actually, it had quite a lot of cup holders. I seem to remember thinking, why have I got like 6 cup holders? This is ridiculous.
There we go, we're finding positives.
Yeah.
It is the most basic one, and it does look pretty miserable.
What colour was it, Ben?
Oh, I can't even remember. Black, maybe?
Oof.
Was it white?
It wasn't white.
It wasn't white.
John, just because the one on the website is white doesn't mean they're all white.
I think Ben's car is actually right here in front of me. It says Yaris on the number plate and everything.
Oh, I found a shot of the interior. Does look very 90s.
Yeah. It's just all black plastic, isn't it?
Look at that steering wheel. Obviously, this isn't great for listening, so if you're listening to this and you visit the Toyota New Zealand website, you can look at the Yaris GX. I literally just Googled Yaris GX, and the first option that came up was the New Zealand Toyota website. So obviously the GX isn't available anywhere else.
Yeah. Fortunately.
You know what, King? I think because New Zealand is a developing country, I don't think they would, offer very impressive cars over there, because a lot of the people in New Zealand just need to be able to travel from South Zealand to North Zealand without, getting into dangerous situations, because you know how dangerous New Zealand is. There's like dinosaurs, tidal waves, orcs, earthquakes.
Gandalf.
No, he doesn't live there anymore. He's retired to Monaco since you fucking ruined him on this podcast a few episodes ago. Yeah, I reckon they just sell basic cars over there because nobody wants anything flashy. Because, developing country, innit?
Just to be clear, listeners, Ben and I don't share the views of Jonathan Edge. We don't see New Zealand as a developing country.
King, would you say anything with less than 95 octane unleaded is developing? Because New Zealand, what it says here on the Toyota website is that the recommended fuel for this petrol Yaris is 91 and above.
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember having
unleaded.
a choice. I think they're always 95 where we went, but that's bizarre.
Oh, I feel like Ben's trying to oversell it now. 91 and above.
Yep. As I said, King, developing country. That proves it. That actually proves it.
91. Oh yeah, 91 unleaded and above is recommended in its 42-litre tank.
It did have a tiny tank. It wasn't even very economical, I don't think. Nothing good about that car.
It wouldn't be with 91 octane, would it? It must be doing like 20 miles per gallon or something. But it only produces like 5 horsepower as well.
I wonder if you can get 87 like you can in the States.
Oh, I've seen a petrol station with selling 87 in the States. Yeah. I don't know what engine you'd put that in. May as well just put sunflower oil in.
Sunflower oil, yeah. The most common grade in New Zealand is 91 octane. Makes up nearly 80% of all petrol sales. But not all cars are designed to run on low-octane fuel, so every Caltex, Challenge and Z station, and most GAS, supermarket and unbranded sites sell 95 octane! So too do BP and Mobil, but not everywhere.
To be fair, I think we always refilled it as Z, conveniently.
Oh, some Mobil service stations offer 98.
Bloody hell.
So before we get too deep into octanes, should we wrap up New Zealand in a short sentence, Ben, perhaps? Maybe you could, give a reason for people to go to New Zealand.
Because it's bloody fantastic. Is that enough?
Not really a reason, more of an opinion, but...
Okay.
I mean, look, John, Ben's had an opinion.
That's...
First time for everything.
Yeah, it's a start. Maybe we should, not be too hard on him. Try and encourage him.
And be more specific about your hire car when you go out there. That's what I'll say.
What kind of hire car did you have in Hong Kong, Ben?
We didn't. Got taxis in it.
John doesn't understand that.
That's why I'm silent. Don't get it.
Do you want to move on to Hong Kong then?
Yes. Tell us about the Hong Kong. Did you see China?
Hong Kong's part of China, John.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering if there's like tanks and guns around everywhere.
Not that I saw. Hong Kong. You would struggle to drive in Hong Kong because it's just gridlock. Basically, their rush hour is about 5 or 6 hours. It's like central London because it's so built up there. It's insane. So not exactly somewhere you'd go to drive. But oddly, I saw absolutely loads of Teslas there. They must have good schemes for electric cars to try and reduce the pollution or something. Because it was probably like every 15-20 cars was a Tesla. You quite often see you'd be walking over a bridge over a road and you could spot like 3 or 4 of them. It was ridiculous.
I feel like I have to ask, were they definitely Teslas or were they those very, very good Chinese copies of cars? Like the Land Ranger or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they were, but to be fair, I think the way that Teslas are built, they're probably quite similar quality to Chinese rip-offs anyway.
Yeah.
But no, they're Model X's and Model S's mostly.
John, would you like an interesting fact about Hong Kong?
Yes. Is it that it is the most densely populated place in Asia?
No, it's that it's the 4th most densely populated region in the world.
Okay. Not bad.
But only 3rd in Asia.
Christ. So Asia's a pretty crowded place then.
Macau and Singapore are above Hong Kong, as is the tiny Principality of Monaco.
Oh yeah, there is quite a lot of people in Monaco actually.
Yeah, quite a lot of rich people.
Yep. But anyway, Hong Kong. Do you have any Hong Kong food, Ben? Do you have Hong Kong? What they have at the takeaway? Can't remember what they have. They have Hong Kong something at the takeaway.
Yes, we did eat some food there for a couple of days.
Did you see Hong Kong Phooey? Do they just show reruns of Hong Kong Phooey 24/7 on Hong
They've
Kong
got
TV?
to. They've got to.
Why would they not? They'd be missing.
He's the number one superstar.
Exactly. Ben doesn't know what we're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're a disgrace.
I think he's the oldest one here as well.
I know.
Something you would like in Hong Kong, Johnny, is that we went on their tube network, and it's very easy to navigate. I think you'd appreciate that, because I know you get lost on a train.
No.
It depends, doesn't
You're wasting your time, Ben.
Is it easy to navigate for a Ben, or is it easy to navigate for a woodlouse? Because if it's easy to navigate for a woodlouse, I might be able to do it. But if it's easy for you, it probably means it's like a Rubik cube.
Right, so every station had big maps, and every little station had a little light on it, and it used to light up and tell you which direction it's going and where to get off if you need to get to what station. So a proper idiot could navigate around. So you might have a chance.
I think this should be a special edition episode. I go to Hong Kong to take a train.
To see if it's actually the simplest underground network known to man.
Yeah. Maybe I should pitch that to Drive Tribe. Like, can you give me a few £1,000 so I can go to Hong Kong to try a train? How big is Hong Kong?
As in area?
It's probably like central London's, or sort of greater London size, isn't it, roughly?
About 1,100 square kilometres.
Is that big?
427 square miles.
Is that big?
Context, please. Context.
The island of Jersey is 45 square miles, John.
So it's 10 times the size of Jersey. So it's about the size of Anglesey?
No, it's double the size of Anglesey.
Okay, double the size of Anglesey. Yeah, that's good.
How many square miles is it?
427.
Okay, so London, Greater London is 606 square miles, so it's smaller than London.
Bigger than Anglesey, but smaller than London. Oh, I think that's a good size. Might go there now.
I'm glad you approve.
But can you measure Hong Kong upwards as well as sidewards? Because it's very famous for being upwards, isn't it, with all the buildings?
Yeah, there is a lot of up. Although we went to this place that was badged as like the highest viewing place in the whole of Hong Kong, but I think their information was out of date up there because there was a hotel that was clearly another sort of like 20-30 metres higher than where we were, and when we googled it afterwards, there's actually a bar in a new building that's higher, so I felt quite shortchanged.
Did you complain, Ben?
You should have smashed someone's face in, Ben.
I had to go up this dodgy cable car thing to find that I could have gone up in a lift and gone to a pub and it was higher.
Oh, cable cars make me clench. They're really scary. I'm always looking down and just feeling that, that tension in the old, you know what I'm talking about, that tension. And you're like, ooh. That's how cable cars make me feel.
I'm not a fan of heights. Wasn't ideal.
King, do you like heights?
I don't have a problem with them.
You know what I reckon we should do? We should do a road trip where we will have to end up somewhere high. And see if King holds the podcast together. Whilst
like
me and Ben quiver and clench, looking over the edge and going, oh! whilst King is trying to manage the whole situation with his exceptional man management skills.
Well, we took an episode off, but once again it's time for a trip to Kingy's Dictionary Corner. I love the etymology of words.
You absolute gorm.
Shut up, John.
I was going to say, we have to have another version of the segment because, I did put together that quality jingle for you.
You did, and we need to keep using that as much as possible.
No, you didn't use the good one.
Shut up, Ben. Today's words, all from the last episode, all used by Ben, and all meaning exactly the same thing.
Oh, okay.
First of all, moron. Ben loves calling people morons.
I'm surrounded by them, I think.
It means a stupid person.
Ah, good.
It comes from the Greek moros, which means foolish. And certainly about 100 years ago, it was actually used as a term to denote specific level on the IQ sort of stages.
Ah.
So if you had a mental age of between 8 and 12, moron was the term that was used.
Oh, perfect. So I should
if
continue to use it.
if you were
Jonny.
aged between 8 and 12, you were a moron.
That would be your understanding of this discussion, yes, John. And that is very much why Ben is probably right when he uses this term towards you. So,
Good.
Is that it?
there you go. No, that's it for moron.
No, that's not very good, is it?
We're moving swiftly on to the next word, which is cretin.
Ah, yes. Another favourite.
Cretin means exactly the same, a stupid person. However, obviously, as John pointed out last time, when he said, I know what that means, what he was trying to do was lead us down the same road that meant that we didn't use his word from the first round of this segment, which was, of course, scientific racism.
Yeah.
So we won't get into the details. You can Google the word for yourself. But the word cretin, obviously French origin, comes from Swiss French, apparently, meaning Christian. Basically, the word is intended to be human being. Again, we won't go into details, but the point was that a cretin, just to be clear, was a human and not a beast. You can do your own research for that.
Ben, is this making any sense to you, Ben?
I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I don't know what he's talking about either.
Well, we'll move on to the third word, and that is, of course, twat.
No. Wait. We need some clarification.
Well, I can't go into details, because otherwise we'll have to cut the whole segment.
Is that offensive, really?
Well, it's like John talking about...
And you've had to bleep that out.
Well, of course I've had to bleep that out.
Yeah, I've just googled it.
Yeah.
That is quite offensive.
See?
Who knew?
Well, I knew.
Third and final word, twat.
Yeah.
Again, someone who is stupid, or specifically obnoxious. Twat is quite an interesting one, because obviously in the UK, where we say twat, everyone knows what that means. But if you go to America and say twat, people don't know what you're saying, because they pronounce it twat.
Do they?
You twat. Twat. You twat. Twat face. You twatting around over there, big boy. You twat.
That is deeply disturbing.
Oh dear. What is happening?
Anyway, I will refer you to Peter Silverton's book, Filthy English, which asks the question, can you distinguish an utter twat from a complete prick? He says, I think you can. An utter twat knows not what he or she does. A complete prick does. And that's why John's a twat.
Oh, I thought he was a prick.
You give him too much credit, sir. Obviously, twat is also vulgar slang for a lady's genitalia. And specifically in British, it's actually a word which is now synonymous with the word punch. As in, I twatted that bloke. Do you remember that time someone twatted you, John?
Which one?
So, Ben, basically, your three words, moron, cretin, and twat, all mean a stupid person. So,
Fantastic.
I guess you can continue to use them, unless they're still not offensive enough for you to warrant keeping them in your vocabulary.
So what's next week's words?
Well, what words do you want to know about, Ben? This is kind of how the whole thing works. You say a word and I say, we'll get that on the podcast.
I think I'm running out of offensive things to say, though. And now I'm worried, because every time I say something offensive, you find out it's even more offensive and stop me using it.
I know, and I'm sure that there's probably at least one person who listens to this that wishes to know what we were talking about in that first one, when we were talking about... And again, all they'll have heard then was another tone, because they can't hear the word.
I genuinely didn't know it was that offensive, though. I didn't know was such a horrible, you know...
Well, no, who
term.
would? We know that the other word that I always bleep out is...
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with us saying the word fuck trumpet?
That's just a penis, isn't it?
I feel that that's a that's a word that has been just kind of forced together.
I'm pretty sure Jonny used that a few weeks ago.
John used a fuck trumpet a few weeks ago. Well...
Yeah, I was like the Lurpak man.
I don't know where to go with that.
I had Wank Goblin, didn't I, King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's not a lot to take from that. So,
I want to hear more from the Urban Dictionary that you quoted from the first time.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
what was that
second time.
word that I used? It was when I was trying to explain to John what pleb was, I think, wasn't it? And Urban
Okay.
Dictionary defined it as, I don't know, didn't it compare it to yardie or something? Oh, rude boy, kappa slapper,
Rude boy.
scrupt, greb. So yeah, maybe I'll see if I can find something hilarious on Urban Dictionary.
On the Urban Dictionary, there's a couple of descriptions here. Moron, a person whose IQ lies between 45 and 59. Slightly stupider than a retard. 60 to 69. Still smarter than an idiot. Below 45. George W. Bush is a moron. Oh, Kingy, you have missed an absolute cracker for moron. It's the Welsh word for carrot.
I don't know if you guys have noticed in the news over the last week or so. I don't know if Ben has, because Ben's been probably in a bit of a coma from his travels. But the Volkswagen Up GTI launch has happened, so it's real and it's finally happening. And prices are going to start from 13,750 of your British pound sterlings.
Bargain.
So what do you get in the Volkswagen Up? Well, you get 115 horsepower from the 1 litre engine. Yes, 115. Not much, but that doesn't particularly matter too much because it only weighs 1,070 kilos. Normally, that weight would impress me, but that's actually more, 30 kilograms more, I think, 30 or 25 kilos more than my Abarth. And that surprised me because I thought the Abarth would be heavier than an Up, because Ups always look and feel very light, I think, but no, it's heavier.
The Abarth's made of cardboard though, John.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd overlook that. So yeah, it's pretty good fun. The reviews from various sources say that it's quite good. They've given it pretty positive feedback. It does 62 mile an hour in 8.8 seconds, so it's not quick, but it should be quite fun to drive, as we always suspected it would be, because, you know, a normal Up is good fun to drive, so an Up with a little bit more juice should be good stuff. So yeah, availability is very limited though. I think I was reading on Twitter there's only about 280 that are going to be available this year for the UK market or something. So it's something I saw on Twitter, so it might be bullshit, but, you know, thought I'd say it anyway.
Well, I'm quite excited about this because I think that Volkswagen have taken on board something that we said on this very podcast, and by we, I mean me. Because way back in episode 18, when we first mentioned that the GTI Up was in the works, you, Johnny, said on this very podcast that it would have 89 brake horsepower. And when I said I was a bit disappointed, I thought there'd have been more, John, you tore into me for expecting more from the car that taught us that less is more. And I said I just wanted 3 figures. And then magically, when they bring it out, 3 figures of horsepower.
Have you perchance been going back through the old catalogue and listening to your debates with Johnny?
No, it's the one thing that sticks in my mind, and I don't know why. It's just the phrase that John used when he moaned.
Are you sure, King? Because a standard Up has 90 PS.
I am sure, because I listened to it about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Okay.
Just to make sure.
Fair enough.
I like to do a bit of fact checking before I throw out a rope and potentially hang myself. But yeah, so basically what I'm saying is that at some point in the last 18 months, Volkswagen have listened to Smooth Traffic.
Yeah, definitely.
And thought, you know what, we should get 3 figures worth of horsepower out of that little Up.
Didn't we also say that there should be an Up GTI? Weren't we the ones who invented the idea of the Up GTI?
I don't know if we invented the idea. We certainly wanted one, but
It was our town car, wasn't it? Or our car to drive around the streets of Cornwall? Was that what we decided?
it was. Car for a small village, I believe, or something along those lines.
A Cornish wasteland, I think. Cornwall's a fucking dump. Honestly. It's nothing like what you see in Poldark. Everyone thinks it's just some glamorous, beautiful coastal place. It's not. It's a shithole. It's horrible. It is the skankiest place in the UK by quite some margin.
I think that's a bit negative, Johnny.
Not really. Oh, well, I've been to Manchester and Liverpool, and that had more interesting stuff than Cornwall, and less poverty.
Have you been to Hull?
No, but I will be going to Hull soon. I'm not looking forward to it. But it can't be as bad as Cornwall. Nothing is as bad as Cornwall. It's a fucking dump.
Would you like to alienate any more of our listeners and slag off any other towns or?
Yeah, if you're Cornish, I don't like your county. I think it's a dump. And that's why we need a fucking small car like a Volkswagen Up to get round your crappy wasteland of a county.
I like Cornwall.
Well, you're
The scenery's nice.
No, it isn't.
But there's no infrastructure in place, which means that it's set up for the level of holidaymakers that inevitably travel there.
Well, what are you doing going down there in the middle of a holiday season?
Well, some Burke decided that it would be the perfect time to do a trip from Land's End to John O'Groats in a Caterham.
That's not Cornwall's fault. You're blaming Cornwall for Jonny.
Well, I've got to blame someone for Jonny. And that happened to also coincide with the only week of rain we had in that whole fucking summer.
I still enjoy looking back at that video of the despair on your two's faces where you're sitting there in the Caterham. It's pissing down with rain. You just look so fed up.
Hey, we were talking about the Volkswagen Up, weren't we?
We were talking about the Volkswagen Up. Yeah.
It's still a 1 litre engine, 115 horsepower, a little 6-speed gearbox. It's not particularly quick, but it's probably quite chuckable and quite good fun, and it's still stylish and funky, and still got more space than you think it has. So for £13,750, don't fucking bother getting the 5-door version. Don't ever buy an Up, Citigo or a Me with 5 doors. There's no point. It's pathetically small.
I'm surprised they even sell it with 5 doors, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Buy the £13,750 one. Obviously, because it's a Volkswagen, you'll probably end up spending another 10 grand on optional extras that you don't really need. Things like mats, oxygen for inside the car, plastic,
Doors,
all those sorts of things. And no doubt servicing will be a complete rip-off as well, because, Volkswagen. But it sounds promising. I can't wait to drive it. I hope there's one at SMMT this year. Love to drive it. Hate Volkswagen, but I would love to drive it.
I was going to say, part of me thinks that you're actually working for Volkswagen, John. You're just so enthusiastic about the brand. It's unbelievable.
It's because I've started thinking about Cornwall. It's reminding me of all the things I hate.
Ben, anything positive to say to bring this back round?
I'm excited by the GTI and Cornwall.
Ben wants to take a GTI up to Cornwall.
Yeah.
He can go by himself then, can't he?
I'll go with him.
Why? It's Cornwall.
There's not going to be space for you in the car as well, King.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm sorry. So small.
That's harsh, Ben. That is harsh. Imagine being trapped in a car with you, Ben.
But how's Ben going to get there? He's going to need someone to drive him.
Yeah.
So I've got to go.
Jonny, I want to talk to you about your favourite electric car company.
Oh, Duracell.
That's the one. Faraday Future.
Oh, those. They don't even exist, do they?
I think they still do. At the end of last year, they had some issues with people leaving, and then a company. Who said that they were funding them?
No, Faraday Future said that Tata, who own Land Rover, were putting 900 million into them.
Something like that. And then I think they turned around and said, no, we're not.
And then the next day, Tata were like, no.
They seem to have lost some of their high-profile executives, and they've gone off to start another electric car company. I think they've actually got some more funding. I think somebody said they've got another £1 billion. I mean, who knows these days? But they still reckon that they're going to get their car out by the end of 2018, which is crazy. But hey, apparently they're still going, and they're still on track. So I know you wanted to hear about that, Jonny, because I know you love them.
Anyone who believes in Faraday Future is a flat earther.
It baffles me that so many people are looking to put so much money into it that they must have something decent worth investing in, but it just seems, well, as you say, just too far away at the moment.
I reckon they just blackmail people.
Could be. I mean, they must have something. Otherwise, yeah, why would so many people put so much money in?
Yeah, I'd love to see what they come out with. Just out of interest, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the last 6 months, things haven't gone well for them. Losing all those people. Didn't they have to stop building their factory, I think?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, it's always such a garbled mess, isn't it? The news coming from there. Some of it's utter nonsense.
And some of it's just regular nonsense.
Outrageous claims, and then there's the business making outrageous claims. So, I don't know.
I reckon the whole thing is bullshit. The whole thing. I don't think they've got anything. And I don't know where they're getting the money from. I wonder if even the breaking news stories about the money is fake. I don't know how can we prove they've received that money?
Well, see if they spend it.
But I'm pretty sure that was the whole thing, wasn't it? Because In the end, a Chinese company came in and gave them allegedly $1 billion of new investment, but there were literally no details beyond that.
Which is fair enough. You don't necessarily want to share your investment and what you're doing and why you're doing it, so it's understandable. But they seem to just sort of try to headline grab quite a lot, don't they? Which is similar to what Musk does at Tesla, really. But talking of headline grabbing, something that came out at the end of last year was a company called Fisker. I think we've spoken about them before. So they've got a patent application for a new solid-state electrode structure, apparently, that could enable a battery to basically charge in about as quickly, they reckon, as about a minute for 500 miles of range.
No.
So this is the battery cells are apparently 3-dimensional electrodes with 2 times the energy density of lithium-ion batteries.
I could do this. I'm going to start an electric car company. All you've got to do is say, I've got an electric car, it's a concept at the moment, I'm looking for investment. It's going to do 100 mile an hour in 3 seconds. It's got 1,200 horsepower, and it'll do 800 miles on a single charge, and you can charge it up with your penis. And then someone from the Far East will give me £500 million, and all I've got to do is sign a contract that says I might not be able to deliver on my concept car, and then I can walk away with £480 million, having half-heartedly spent £20 million on a factory I never really wanted to finish, and then go and live in the Bahamas with my lovely, lovely Latvian girlfriend Agnieszka.
That is a very specific story that you told there, John.
It is. If it wasn't for the high amounts of money involved, then I might even think this has happened. I don't know about these sorts of things. There's just too many stories of random
Bullshit.
battery technologies and things coming through.
I don't think this is the most absurd thing.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, because Fisker, Henrik Fisker, I mean, he's got pedigree in the automotive world. He used to be a car designer, so he designed like the BMW Z8, the Aston Martin DB9, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. You know, he's worked for big companies, big proper car companies, rather than just airy-fairy, we might make a car one day companies. You know, I mean, obviously, yeah, the battery tech that they're talking about is
Nope.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
But then, to be honest with you, even if they do half of what they're saying, if they can do 250 mile range in a charge of a minute, or even 250 miles in 20 minutes, that's still seriously impressive and would be, revolutionary, really. So, even if he's way off what he claims, if he's getting closer to that number, then that's got to be good for the industry.
But they're not, are they? They're just saying it to get money. That's why I can start an electric car company. Jonny Power. 1,200 horsepower, 800 mile range, charge it with your penis, it's great. I don't know if I can make it, but it's great. Honestly, it's great. It's going to look really cool, and everyone in Dubai is going to have one. It's going to be so cool. People will give you money. It's just people trying to get money, I think. I think it's just complete bullshit, the whole thing. It's never, ever going to happen. If Faraday Future ever happens, I will do a forfeit of your choice.
Perfect.
Well, I'm not saying anything about Faraday Future, but I think Fisker is a perfectly legitimate setup. They've already produced a hybrid car in the past. The fact that they're going full electric doesn't surprise me. It's whether these claims about the solid state batteries are achievable, really.
It's a different take on a battery as well, because I don't think the battery technology has really changed that much. They just use tiny different chemical structures and things like that. But I don't think anyone's really redesigned a battery before, not to a large extent, best of my knowledge. So, taking a completely different approach to it is probably a good way forward. But I think the best bit about this electric car news really is how much it winds Jonny up. So I'll keep bringing it to the table because it annoys Jonny.
So, in the past, Ben has revealed to the world the subtle nuances of our WhatsApp group, mainly with the intention of embarrassing John and myself. But today the tables are turned, because I've gone back through the WhatsApp group, and Ben is absolutely shitting himself right now, because he doesn't know what I've found.
That can't be that bad, surely.
Make that banker sweat.
I have 3 questions that were posited in our WhatsApp group. And, in a complete twist to this whole tale, Ben did none of them. This is you, John! This is all about you, John.
I was thinking, I don't remember asking the question.
So, John posited the question: if a dog lands in a tree, is it a bird?
Philosophical, Johnny.
Yep.
Now, this was followed by: if a tree lands on a dog, is it a flea?
Yep.
And finally, who are we to question the ways of the dog or tree?
Why did I write that? I can't remember.
I don't even think.
Was I talking about philosophy?
No, it started with Ben saying, "Good evening."
Sounds about
John,
right.
you replied in bold, "Good evening, Ben," brackets space music. Then you asked your first question: if a dog lands in a tree, is it a bird? Brackets, more space music. Then you asked your second question: if a tree lands on a dog, is it a flea? Brackets, space music intensifies.
Is this because Ben had just got back from his interstellar, voyage, and I was still confused about what was actually going on in terms of time, and so resorted to philosophy to try and, explain it?
No,
Yeah, sounds about right.
Because Ben returned on the 12th, 13th, something like that. Was it, Ben?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, this was almost a week later, John.
That could still mean I was confused.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Not that much time has passed.
And then you followed up with your third and final question. Still in bold writing. Nothing in brackets this time. No mention of the music.
Alright. No space music.
And then Ben kindly said, if a house falls on Kingy, would anyone care?
That sounds like me.
That is a good question. Maybe the viewers can
The
tell
listeners.
us.
Does anyone care if Rob gets squashed by a house?
Would you like to see Rob squashed by a house? If so, tweet us at Smooth Traffic and we will make it happen. Remember that time we were trying to get the public to vote on whether you were going to drink piss, King?
No, that didn't happen.
Pretty sure it did. Did that happen, Ben?
No, you tried to get people to vote on me changing my name. You didn't try to get people to vote on me drinking piss.
Oh, yeah.
However, I will say, in your defence, John, and I don't know why I'm going to say this, but after Ben said that, followed up by the statement, think I've missed the point here, but it's a valid question, you said, don't do a die, which was actually very kind, John.
Oh, how sweet of him.
But who was dying? I mean, what was the danger?
Well, a house falling on me, John. That would pretty much cause death, I think.
don't know. Some people survive in rubble all the time, don't they?
Yeah,
Not all the
I think
time,
Ben's
but-
idea is to physically pick up a house which is in one piece and drop it on me.
Yeah.
It's not a house falling down around me.
No,
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the dream, but,
Ben will take it as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't quite, go as you want it to, but life goes on for some of us.
I'm not too upset by this segment, seeing as you twisted it onto me, because it's not me being offensive for once. It's not me being.
No, it's
a different
philosophical,
side of philosophical
Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah. And nobody's answered those questions still. Those questions are still out there waiting to be answered. If a dog lands in a tree, is it a bird?
I mean, not long before that, in fact the day before, without going into any detail whatsoever, one phrase from you, John, I'd rather dip my balls in hot syrup and perform a sexy dance for wasps.
What was that about?
No context.
Oh, it's the rule. The rule is no context.
No,
Yeah.
that was based on the idea of going on an adventure to Stonehenge in the Volkswagen Samba bus, which you just won on Gran Turismo Sport.
Oh yeah, bollocks to that. I never ever want to go near a Volkswagen Samba bus. Why do people like them? They are awful. They're awful in every way. You know what? I would put them straight into the heart of Cornwall just before I press the nuclear button.
Well, I think a question to end this segment is, if a podcast has no listeners, is it still a podcast?
That is a good question, Ben.
Good question, Ben.
If only we had someone to ask.
I think people are going to be thinking that we're deliberately making a terrible podcast so we don't have to do it anymore. People are probably thinking that it's so bad that eventually we'll just stop doing it because nobody... Well, we do get the odd reply, don't we? People do listen to us and stuff.
Well, irritatingly, the download numbers increase every month, so that's frustrating.
Why?
I don't know. People are morons.
We're not even doing anything right now. We're just reading what we had in our WhatsApp group.
True.
That requires no talent whatsoever. We are the least talented people in the world.
You speak for yourself.
King works in payroll. You're a banker, Ben, which makes you a criminal and dull. And I scrape together words for a living at 5:30 in the morning. What a trio. What an absolute trio.
Yeah, exactly. What a trio of absolute ballers.
All that's happened on this podcast, we've talked about electric car stuff that's never going to happen. Ben's talked about taking a holiday. And now we're reading stuff from our WhatsApp group. Like, literally, there is no point listening to this podcast. But if you are, please do leave a review.
Please do rate and subscribe.
And subscribe. I don't know why. Like, this is the thing. Like, when we ask people at the end of the episode, you know, what do you say? Like, oh yeah, you know, we're coming up with such intelligent and, you know, groundbreaking stuff. You really need to help us, you know, move up the charts and stuff. Not really. It's bollocks, isn't it? It's not bollocks. I mean, we enjoy it, but
save everyone else the hassle and don't review it at all.
Yeah, don't bother. What's the point? What is the point in Smooth Traffic? I'm having an existential crisis now. It started with philosophy, and now it's gone completely. What is the point in Smooth Traffic?
Get out of that funk, John, and let me bring you back by summarising Ben's entire first segment in 2 comments in the WhatsApp group. Ben Pierce, the Corolla is balls. I have a list of observations to share on the next podcast. Next statement. It's actually not too bad, just lots of small issues.
So that's why I review the cars. Ben does the money. That makes a lot of sense now. So is that this episode wrapped up?
Well, we need to sign off for the episode.
Are we going to bother doing that? I don't know if we should even bother doing that on Smooth Traffic anymore. Who just dropped a gold bar?
Sorry. It's
Was
Ben
that
of his
you, Ben?
palladium.
Fuck's sake. On the last episode, someone rang the doorbell and we kept recording. That's how shit this podcast is.
I mean, I was just thinking the episode before that as well, we all got considerably more drunk as it went on.
So our last 3 episodes, we got drunk. We recorded through someone ringing your doorbell incessantly. Ben fucked off and didn't even bother to turn up.
I actually think that the doorbell ringing was one of the best bits of audio we've ever put out. Cause
Thank you, Ben.
I was enthralled. I couldn't wait to find out who was actually ringing the bell, and you've kept us hanging, which is just
We're never going to know now.
There was nobody there, Ben. It was a ghost.
You've ruined that fun.
We're not that bad. We're not going to resort to like
we're not.
Freeview TV channel ghost hunter stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to start doing conspiracy theories and things.
We're just going to do crap philosophy from our WhatsApp group.
So there we go. Thanks for listening to Smooth Traffic. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, please do tweet us at Smooth Traffic. John's clearly having an existential crisis about everything, so I'll just leave you with one quote from him from our WhatsApp group. Is Ben Paddy Ashdown? Good night, everyone.